Hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the Very Fun Yarns YouTube channel. If you are new here, thanks for checking me out. And if you are returning, thanks for coming back. This is episode 58 of the podcast where I try to share what I've been up to, what I'm working on, what I'm dying, all those good things. And it has been a while since I came to you with a regular episode. Now, I did try a good month ago to come to you with an episode. I recorded a lovely episode. It really felt like it was going to be a good one. It had lots of energy and lots of projects. And then if you follow the channel, you will see that it got deleted. And it got deleted because I was needing to make room in my iCloud storage. And you know how when you go on your iCloud storage, you can see your images and stuff. And I didn't think I deleted it, but then when I went to go look for it after I was making room in my storage, I was like, it is not there. And then so I went to a different device and I went to see if I could see what the little thumbnail looked like. And it was on there, of course, because it hadn't synced quite yet. And then I watched it disappear. So of course, I deleted it permanently because that's what one does when one is decluttering their iCloud storage. So anyway, all that to say, I did put out that little tiny episode because I wanted to show you that I was working on things, but I will highlight all of those things that I talked about, or I showed. I didn't actually come on to you that last episode, but I'll share all those things with you today in this episode. So it is Friday, May 23rd, and it is a busy day right now. We have family coming into town. My oldest is graduating from college tomorrow, and it's kind of busy. So I thought it would be a great idea to record a podcast. In all actuality, I had the energy and I have a little time, so I wanted to get a quick one recorded in hopes that I could edit it for you by the end of this Memorial Day weekend here in the United States. So all that to say, a quick 2-minute life update is that life has been very crazy since I mentioned in the little tiny 2-minute ditty of episode 57 that I was going to go away on a knitting retreat at the end of April, which I did, and it was lovely, and I had so much fun with my local knitting friends. And then I came back, and I have 4 kids. 2 of them are at college, although one is home now, and 2 are here at home with me. And the older one of the 2 that is at home got a spring cold and gave it to me, and I got much sicker than he did. So I lost my voice. I was coughing. It was all in my chest. So that was why I didn't come to you originally. And then we were also, at the same time as I got sick, we were in a dance performance. So I'd had some tapping. My husband had to travel to India for 2 weeks for work. He came back for less than 48 hours and had to go back on an airplane at the beginning of this week to go to Texas for some client problem he had to solve. So he came back Wednesday night very late, like quarter to midnight. I had to drive to get him because he had missed his connecting flight to Rochester. So all that to say, it was a lot going on. It was busy. In between there, I drove to get my second oldest son from college, and he was home for like 48 hours. And then I put him on a plane to go to South Korea because he was a part of a really cool business and culture class. And part of that class was that they went overseas for 10 days to study culture and how it affects business in South Korea. So that was cool. But that all happened while my husband was gone. My oldest had an awesome solo in an orchestra. He plays viola at his college that we went to go see. It was just a lot. And then I had some, I'm still dealing with some health things from the surgery I had in December. So it's been a lot. I've been hanging in there and doing as much knitting and making as I can. But it does seem that I just kind of work on one thing for a long time. Socks have been kind of my go-to. I did cast on a new sweater since the last regular episode of 56. And I have a new blanket design that I want to show you today. So all that jabbering, let's get to it because I am kind of on a schedule. Let me start with, I do not have any full finished projects, but I do have 2 half finished objects, as in 2 pair of socks. So let me grab my trusty sock blocker. The first one is made out of Very Fun Yarns, the Tainted Love colorway, which is what this pinky purple with the blue is. And then the blue heel and toe that I did, that is Lost in Your Eyes. So that is that one. And this is made out of, so I have quite a few of these. I call these mini sock sets. They're still in the shop. And you get a 50-gram, a 50-gram skein plus a 20-gram mini. So if you have smallish feet, I would say probably like a size 7 or 8 US women's or less, and you don't like super duper long socks, then this would be plenty for you to make a pair of socks. But however, so I wanted to make these because I wanted to make a sample for me to take to the farmer's market, because the farmer's market actually started at the beginning of May because life has been so crazy, I have not been there. So I wanted to have a sample to show the color because I had quite a bit of these little sets left. And so I started knitting. Now, I prefer to knit my socks top down. And that is because I really like how the heel flap and gusset looks. I like how it fits. I like how it feels when you start from the top. But I wasn't sure who I was going to make these for. And so at first I started thinking I was going to do like a size 8 US, but I didn't want them to be super short. And I don't know if it is, probably it's a combination of my gauge, how I knit and whatnot. But I got to like right here on the first foot, like halfway down. And I had put my 50-gram into 225 grams. And I had gotten to the end of my 25 gram. So I was like, okay, this is not going to work. This is not enough. So then I tried to do some surgery where you can't even tell now because it has been fixed. Can you see any surgery situation there? I shortened the leg a little bit and I cut off the top, and I was going to like seam it back together. And I kept going, but I still didn't quite have enough. And then I sort of just got to the point where I'm like, I don't know who I want to give these to. So I'm just going to make them extra long. My husband liked the color and would wear it. So in the end, I'm going to use 2 kits for these. But, you know your own sock story if you knit socks, so to say. So like your method, how much yarn usually that you go through. So you will know if this is enough for you. I do think I have at least 1 full skein of each of the Tainted Love and the Lost in Your Eyes in my shop right now. I will probably be dyeing more of it because I really like it. It's a very nice colorway, and I think it's gender neutral. It can be, really good for either gender. So, that being said, I finished the first one and I cast on my second one from the top down. I made a really big cuff on these and I really like it. I did a 2x2 ribbing for, I don't know, let me see how long I did it. I don't usually measure. I just kind of like wing it. Let's see, it's a little more than 2¼ inches for the top. So I just kind of wing it. But I ran out of my first 50-gram skein. So it looks like I'm about halfway down the leg. So I'm going to wind that up later today because that will be great to take with me to the graduation ceremony tomorrow. My oldest says that supposedly it lasts 2 hours, but it starts at 1 o'clock. We have to be there at 10 a.m. because we have to move them out of their dorm first, and then there's like receptions and all kinds of hooditty. So I will take those with me, and I might even take these with me. So the second half finished object I have, let me take let me take these socks off the blocker and put this one on. This is a Woolens and Nosh Targhee fingering weight skein. These socks are both for my husband because he is about towards the end of winter. So like March time, I noticed that he was starting to blow through like 3 pairs of his wool socks, and he really likes them and wears them a lot. So these will be for him. He picked the yarn and said it was good, but then as I was making it, he's like, "Oh, those are kind of wild." So hopefully he'll like them, but I was a little surprised actually. You see it's got like big stripes and then it has these little stripes. I really didn't realize that, but it's still pretty fun. It makes it a little more interesting because of the way the yarn looks. It's not super predictable. Let me see if I have I don't remember what this is called, but it will be in my project page. But it's Woolens and Nosh. I think I got rid of my what do you call it, ball band. So anyway, yep, those are my lighting. Is kind of, it was a fast setup this morning, so I didn't fuss over how well the lighting was. Okay, so I have cast on the second one. Now these are kind of interesting in that this yarn is slightly thicker than the fingering I typically work with, the spaces, and so I am using a US 1 instead of a US 0. So I thought, well, I could probably go down 4 stitches and do 60 instead of 64. However, after I got through the cuff on this one, I thought, and I did a little bit, I actually ripped out some. I did maybe like, I don't know, down to here. And I thought they were going to be too tight. My husband has a very kind of big heel and instep. So what I ended up doing is I ripped back to the edge of the ribbing, and then I increased in that first round after ribbing up to 64 stitches. And I knit 64 stitches, did the heel flap and gusset normal with 64 stitches. And then when I did my gusset decreases, I have specific notes on my project page, but I ended up decreasing eventually down to 60 stitches so that his foot would still be snug, but there would be extra give for extra space for the instep. I will say I decreased kind of quickly at spots on this pair or this sock, and I can kind of see it. I probably can't. I feel like there's a little bit of puckering in the gusset decreases that I don't love, but when it's on, he's not going to notice, and it's not really that big of a deal. So that is number 1. This is what it looks like in the cake. And then this is number 2. So I'm going to do the same thing on the second one. So it's good. I took good notes on my Ravelry page. I love Ravelry for that because sometimes you forget, especially if you set something down. So I made good notes on there, and I'm going to decrease the same. I'm going to increase after the ribbing, the cuff. And then when I get to the end of the gusset decreases, I will decrease in the same way so that the socks will be the same. So maybe I'll end up taking this sock instead of the other one because I have more to knit on it. I'm not quite as far. So that will be great once I have those done. Oh, and the heel and the toe I'm doing in this lavender loon. I think it's an 8515. I think it was a part of the Christmas or the winter solstice countdown that I used to make that. But it was the big skein at the end, and it wasn't quite in the same like color family-ish thing. So I set it aside for a different project. I think I made fingerless mitts out of them actually for one of my kids. Okay, so those are the 2 socks I have been working on. I think I just have 2 socks on the go right now. It's kind of been, I feel like that's kind of a good, sometimes I think maybe 1 sock is enough, but when you have 2, it's kind of nice because if you get to a spot in one of them where you're at the heel or you're at the toe decreases or something, and it's just too much fuss for when you're like out and about, it's nice to have that option of just the straight stockinette. Okay, so those are my 2. I made some notes here so I don't forget. On to some more whips. I do have a 3rd pair of socks. Oh, hold on, I will have to dig them out. Okay, so my third pair of socks, this is kind of a fun pair. I started this like scrappy, stripy sock thing. So if you knit a lot of socks and you like self-striping, you sometimes end up with, like 20 grams of self-striping left. And depending on what kind of scrappy projects you do, I've started to find that I don't love mixing self-striping scraps with like variegated or tonal. Because when you knit them up, say in a blanket or I don't know, some other project, it looks different. And seems to be kind of jarring to me lately, and I'm not enjoying that difference. I'm liking a little more continuity in my scrappy projects. So I have these self-striping scraps. I don't have a ton of them right now, but I have a fair number. And I also had a lot of this black yarn. I had gotten this, it's Happy Feet by Plymouth, and I had gotten, years ago, I want to say 7, 8 years ago, I went with my husband to San Diego and I got this yarn, and I had this one and I had another one that was sort of like an Oreo color. I think it was why would it be Oreo? I remember what it was called, but it was like blues. It was speckled, different shades of blue with black, and in it on a white creamy base. And I had gotten this, a bunch of black yarn to go with it, and I was going to make like a stripy sweater. It was something by Vera Valimaki at the time, and it was very popular pattern, and I just never made it. Well, now I went back to look at it, and 7 or 8 years is a long time when it comes to like maybe what style you like, if you're going from like your mid 30s to your mid 40s. And so I wasn't really excited about it, but I love this yarn. It's got a lovely twist on it. I don't know if you can even see that. Don't move my face here. It's got a lovely twist on it, and it's squishy. It's a little more plump fingering. And I was like, what am I going to do with this? Should I destash it? And I kind of actually had it in my destash pile to get rid of. And then I had this fabulous idea to make stripy socks with self-striping leftovers and the black. Now I will say, I don't know, doing the black heel with my old lady eyes was kind of a lot. But the look, I love it. Isn't this fun? So I made the cuff black, and then I had 2 different balls. This one, what got me thinking to make these was partly the black yarn, but also I love Freckled Whimsies. I think it's an 8515 base. I got it as a 24 stripe countdown for Christmas. I think I ordered another one this year because I like it so much. I just like the base. And I had, I don't know, maybe like 15 to 20 grams left. So what I did is I wound them into 2 separate balls. Even I weighed them with my little scale. And that is what is the leg. So I had enough of the yarn that I could do the whole leg. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing 2 rows of the self-striping, 1 row of the black. And so when I do it in that way, you don't need to cut the yarn at all. I just carried it. Now it does look a little funky in that I didn't do like a jogless jog thing in the back, but so you can see there's a little bit of where the stripe, where you switch it. It's not tighter there. It's just because the striping doesn't align up. It's where you switch the color. So what I did is I just made that the center back of my sock, and that sort of is like a design feature. And then when I did the switching on down the leg or down the foot, I did it along the side seam. So no one's going to really see that too much. I mean, I suppose you could do it on the top and you'd have like a front and back, but then you would have to probably do it on the front all the way down to make that like look. So anyway, so I had enough for the leg for this one. And then I had, this is a Felici, I can't remember what it is, but sort of similar. And it just happened that if you look close, the gold, the orangey gold here from this sock, the Felici, I had just ordered some more Felici, And what I decided to do is to take some of this Fun Rainbow one to use for this because it kind of blended well. I thought the color, the tonality of it, and the hue of it, I thought was very similar. And so, yeah, I'm just going to take a little bit off of this, and I should still have plenty left. I have 2 of these Felici skeins to make like a full pair of self-striping socks with a heel and a toe in a different color. So that will be fabulous, but I love this. I think I've reached the toe. These are for me. So I have 2 socks for my husband going and 1 for me. So I reached the toe. I'm pretty sure I have to measure it, but I'm ready to do the toe, and then I can move on to the next one. But these are really fun. The only thing I dislike about doing this sort of thing sometimes is that sock projects are nice portable projects, but when you have to manage yarn, sometimes it can get fussy. But it's not too bad when you just have the 2 little skeins. So these are my balls that are ready for the second sock, and that should be fabulous. So I'm kind of using up my, whoa, balls are flying everywhere. I'm using up some of my stripy scraps and then also this black yarn. So really have been enjoying those. I have not pulled those out in recent days. I've been working on a blanket project. But before I get to the design, let's move on and let me show you the 2 other projects. I have the Bits and Bobs blanket. So this one, looking down because I'm pulling it out of my big extra large tote from Very Fun Yarns. This is the temperature blanket that I am making for my graduating, not my college graduating. I also have a son graduating from high school this year who'll be going on to college next year. And so this is his blanket. And I did a lot since I came to you last. I primarily worked on this when I was at the retreat, but then I kind of, I peter out. I've learned. I already have a plan for my 4th. Oh, it's of course I'm in the middle of a row for my 4th child, and I think I'm going to start his blanket this summer because it's going to be little squares. And I figured out a way to make it fun. So I'm not going to share that with you today because I will ramble too much, but next time I will probably be starting it at the beginning of June, and I can tell you. But he's only going to be in the 8th grade, so I will have 4 years to finish it. And I think that's much smarter than this trying to get it done at the last minute thing. So let's see where I was last time I came to you. Let me see. Oh, here it is. So there is where I was, this marker. So you see, I did all this. And like I said, I'm in the middle of a row, but let me back up and just show you. It's getting pretty big. I would say it is, I don't know, maybe like 36 inches right now. I mean, I've made good progress on it. It still has a ways to go. In my dream world, I wanted to have it done by strawberry season, which is like June 15th. That is obviously not going to happen. Not because of any other reason than I just lost steam on it, and I was excited to do other things, and I was trying, because life was kind of stressful. And I think anytime you should do this, you should follow your creative heart, right? Do the things that bring you the most joy. So that's what I did. And really, I have until probably October. So what is that? June, July, August, September, October. So I have a good 5 months yet. So I'll probably make a new plan. I have my little notebook with the days that with the temperatures. And so if you're new here, I do, for each of my children when they graduate high school, I do a temperature blanket with some sort of pattern that is based on the temperatures of the year that they were born. And then each section of temperatures, so like say 55 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit, is a certain color. And for this one, the colors are changing every day for the temperature, but I am holding it double with a undyed fingering weight. So the pattern is 2 fingering weights held double. It's great for scraps. Also, you could do anything with it, but I love, and I'll talk more about this in my design, but I love projects with scraps where you can use the entire thing. You don't have to have a tiny little gram or 2 left over that you still have to throw out. So I really like that. So this is going well, but Bits and Bob's blanket is by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. I'm going to stuff this big guy back in there. And it is a lovely pattern, well written. It is not, it looks like brioche, but it's not. It features the knit one below stitch, which I'm kind of in love with right now. So you'll see that in my design. But that is a really fun pattern for, you know, blankets and scraps and that sort of thing. You don't have to do a temperature blanket like I did. It's not created that way. That's just how I imagined it in my own head. Okay. Another tote from Very Fun Yarns. I don't know if we have one of these left in the shop. We might. This is the large size, so it's kind of the middle size. Okay, this is my Soldotna sweater. Now, when I was on episode 56, which I think, I don't remember when I came to you on episode 56, but maybe the beginning of April, I had not cast this on. I cast this on shortly before I went on my retreat, I think the week before. So like late April. It's been on the needles maybe like a month. And I have gotten pretty far. So the Soldotna was a very popular pattern years ago, probably 5 years ago at least. And it was a crop top. And I made myself one at the time. But I made it quite fitted. I think I used maybe too small of a needle, or I just was into more fitted clothing at that time. So it was a short sleeve kind of fitted. And I saw a Molly of a Homespun House. She made a Soldotna that she turned into a full sweater with long sleeves. That's kind of like a cozy sweatshirty kind of sweater size. And I loved that because the color work on the Soldotna, it's all over color work. And it's the short sleeve version, I think I made in like 2 weeks because it's so quick. It's so addicting. And so anyway, I love it. The previous one I also made in my DK tweed base, which is 85% superwash merino and 15% Donegal neps, which are these little black and brown doodads. Neps basically that come from nylon that are woven into. So this is my sweater so far. And I don't know if the lighting is super great, but you can see. So I started with this dark purple is periwinkle, and then the bluey green is sea glass. The dark green I think is swamp moss, and then I decided I was going to use a really bright orange. That's I really love your peaches, but this one I ended up doing a lighter pink. It's tiny but tough. So I finished the yoke, and I've done, I would say, 6 or 7 inches on the body. So I have not worked on this a ton lately because I've been working on the blanket and socks and things, but I know I will pick this up because I really want to have this and one more sweater kind of ready for myself for the fall. And I think that my youngest son, he is 13 and a half right now. He loves knitted sweaters, and I have made him several, but he was kind of going through a serious growth spurt. He still is. He's like 5'11" at least, and he's 13. So he's going through the fast growth spurt time, and I've learned from previous children that not to make them sweaters because they wear them for like a very short time and then they outgrow them. So granted, if I made him a sweater right now and he outgrew it, I could wear it. It would be a little bit big on me, but I could wear it, or my husband could wear it. So I think he would like me to make him a new sweater for the fall and winter of next year. So I'm kind of in a sweater place, but I'm trying to be kind of like intentional about it in the sense of like, you know, I'm just going to work on it. It doesn't matter if it's summer. I'm still going to, you know, just kind of keep plugging along on it and not like try to like do too much at once. So I'm trying to work it into my other projects instead of like going totally gung-ho with it. So that is the Soldotna. Let me see if I got everything here. Yes, so that is the end of my regular whips. And the last whip I have to show you is a new design. So I have been kind of struggling in the design world in the last months. I think just a lot going on and dealing with some health things. They just put me on a new medication yesterday, so hopefully that will kind of help regulate my hormones a little bit better and make me feel a little more stable and creative. I really wanted to find a DK weight pattern. I wanted to design a DK weight pattern that kind of was the perfect balance of kind of potato chippy, interesting enough, but not too complicated, that went quickly when you made it, that you could use scraps, like completely use up your scraps. And I tried so many different iterations of this. In fact, when my husband was in India, I remember talking to him and I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited. I've got this design. It's so great. And then the next day I'd be like, oh yeah, I woke up this morning and I looked at it and I think it sucks. It's horrible. And I think maybe that's a part of creativity in general, that people who are very creative, you think of something and you think it's a really great idea, and then you sleep on it and you're kind of a little more skeptical of your work, or maybe it wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't what I was looking for. Like it didn't tick all the boxes. So, but this one I love. So this is going to be a corner to corner blanket. It's going to be available in 2 sizes. I've decided a baby blanket size that'll be about 30 inches by 30 inches. And then a throw blanket size that I'm going to make in a rectangular version. It's very adaptable in the sense that you can keep increasing. If you want a square blanket that's larger than a baby blanket, you can keep increasing until however big you want it to be, and then do your decreases. It would be very easy to do that. The same if you want it to be bigger than a throw, you can increase longer, and then when you're ready, start the decreases. So that being said, it is, like I said, DK weight, but I am holding 2 strands of fingering together because that's my jam right now. And this is what it looks like. So it has 2 sides and they are slightly different. This is the one side. Now that's really blowing out, but you can't really see. Let's see if I can get it to work. So there are these stitches that come down here. These are knit one below stitches, basically. And on one side, you have two of those. And on the other side, you have 1. And that is just because of how the pattern is worked and the way that the knit one below stitch works. But if I hold it up back here, there's the front side. No, that's the back side, although it's reversible. It doesn't matter. This is the side that has the 1 strip of the knitting, and then this is the side that has the double. Like I said, it's kind of hard to see. If I have a chance, maybe I'll take some close-up pictures of it, but I am just doing scraps. So I'm just kind of fading in the scraps and using them as I go. And I love it. It's so fun. You always have a certain number of stitches between each knit one below section. You decrease and, or not decrease, you increase at a certain time. It's very memorizable, very relaxing. And then I love blankets that start small and get bigger. And then, the corner to corner idea. And then when it gets to the widest point, then you decrease because you're only knitting that wide point for a very short time. There's just something about that makes it very, very fulfilling, very satisfying to have it that way. That is kind of a sneak peek. Like I said, I'll take a few pictures to pop in here while I'm talking, but I am hoping that I can get this. I'm doing the baby blanket size first just to kind of get things figured out for sizing, but I would really like to go into testing for this blanket sometime in June or very early June, so very soon, so that I can figure out, or so that I can have a fall release date. I want to give my testers a couple months to work on it, to really let them get into the project and the pattern to kind of see how it's going. But so pretty much I need to get halfway, and then once I get halfway and I start my decreases, then I can finish the majority of the pattern and get it sent out, get it edited and send it out to testers. So this is the first time, well, I did do a blanket pattern, my very first pattern, but it was a secret then because it was a part of the kit. So I only had one tester for that one. And so this will be my first like full blanket design with testers. So I want to give you some time to do that and get some feedback. And so what was I going to say? I think what I was going to say is that when I get halfway, I'm going to do a lot of math to estimate certain things like yardage requirements and all that kind of stuff. But I will, as the test starts, I will be updating it with my testers, adding on more of the pattern as I get through the rectangular version as well. So all that to say, oh, and I also don't have a name for it. I don't really know what to call it. It's very blissful. That was the one thing that came out, like a blissed out blanket or blanket of bliss. But if you look at these pictures and you have a fantabulous name for the pattern, please let me know because I would love suggestions. I think that's it for my works in progress. And as far as other Berry Fun Yarns news, just a quick couple things. One, there are still Advent countdowns available. I have not been marketing or advertising them a ton. So I still have some in the shop, and those will be in there until they are sold. I will start, advertising them and stuff when I set up at the market and stuff in a couple weeks. All that to say, they are, if you're new here, they are 25 20-gram fingering weight mini skeins, and it is the theme of the Santa Claus, the movie with Tim Allen from the 90s. And just to say that they are not like traditional Christmas colors necessarily, even though it is a Christmas movie. How I picked the colors was I found a scene where I really liked a line that they were saying, because there's a lot of really great lines in that movie. And I would pause the screen and I'd look at the screen and see what popped out at me, and I would combine the colors. So sometimes you might see the name of the yarn, the color name that I give it, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. And other times you might be like, oh, I don't remember that color. But if you look at the scene and you pause it like I did, you'll probably notice, oh, that was the wall color, that was the rug, or that was the... So that's kind of how I did it. So there are all colors of the rainbow. There are maybe a couple of, more what you would think of as more classic Christmas colors, but it is certainly not. It's just all colors of the rainbow. And if you like my dye style, you will like the kit because it is using all the dyes that I have used in lots of my colors and kits in the past, but in different ways. So that's available yet. What else did I put down here? Oh, the last thing is that if you've been on my website recently or you are going on there in the coming days, I'm kind of revamping it and to make it look better, a little bit easier for you to navigate, as well as making the pictures a little more uniform so that you can compare apples with apples in terms of like colors and bases and things like that. So it is a work in progress, so it is not perfect, and I don't know if I will get it all done by the time this video goes live, but you will hopefully see that, and that will make your life a little easier when you come over to the website to shop for yarn. Okay, I think that's it. This is a little bit longer than I meant for it to be, but still a reasonable length. So I'm going to sign off here and head out. I have to do a bunch of cleaning downstairs, switch some laundry, and then my husband, he's working from home today in the other room. I can hear him. He is finished in a little bit, and we are going to go do some food shopping before all of the parents and grandparents arrive. So I hope you're well wherever you are and that you are enjoying your making, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.